Hi, I'm John Kelly Keifer of My Faith and Fear, and you're watching John the Ninja podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing today? My name is John the Ninja. You know I'm in studio. I don't know what letter it is at this point. There's so many. But God, but I've said it once, I've said it twice, I will say it till I die. New Jersey is the best place for the greatest talent in the world. Sometimes you know who that talent is, sometimes you don't. You're gonna know who this talent is. Let me tell you a little story. This New Jersey band I got here is pure old-fashioned, good old passionate fashion, ass whipping rock and roll. And from a mind of a creator who literally can take any instrument, pluck any note, and he always makes it sound good. I don't know how he does it. Sometimes you're so confused. It's like, that's not the key, but he just does it effortlessly. But he's got his friends on it too, and they are no slouches either. We have the best of the best. People that have jazz fusion mixes, and they're veterans in the industry, not in the music, but the Jersey, PA, and New York scene fears their names, and in a good way. Influenced by bands like Quiet Riot, Anvil, Autograph, which is also a great band. You guys got to check them out. Killer Dwarfs, which is also a band people don't know about. You got to check them out. But the members have worked in places such as the 23 Arena, JC Dobbs. WMMR has featured members on their Artist of the Month set. And of course, the band has even toured with Accept, Jamie Jameson of that metal show, Quiet Riot, Anvil, and the list goes on. Their mastermind, Dan, is a brainchild of some genius people. And his brother's also pretty good on guitar too. But they're joined by also another fantastic drummer, John, and a guitar virtuoso that kind of pissed me off when I heard him, named Luke, because I'm a guitarist. Damn, Luke is good. But they bring us this beautiful new project called My Faith and Fear. My Faith and Fear has just released their new single. And let me tell you, it's going to blow you away. But before we get to Past Lives, which you got to go check out in the link right now, I'm going to introduce the boys. Ladies and gentlemen, My Faith and Fear. Gentlemen, how are you doing?
Yo,
Doing
how
good,
you
man.
doing?
Stan, man, it is so good to see you. When I tell you, I just saw Metallica recently. And for the fans that don't know, I have interviewed you before. We have conversated. I've seen you play, man. There was a moment at Metallica. I saw Robert Trujillo right in front of me playing the bass. And it was Call of Cthulhu. It was everything you could have asked for as a bass player, everything as a Metallica fan, loving Cliff and all that. And I was sitting there, I was like, damn, I remember seeing Dan do that, and he did a little better. How have you been? It has been so long. You look like you're doing excellent, yet you're not as reserved as when I first met you. That's what I really wanted to ask you about. Because when I first interviewed you, man, you were just the monk in the corner. You were contemplating, you were very quiet. Now when I see you not only playing, but going out on social media and everything, it's like the door's been kicked wide open for you. What's been happening? And did you feel like you had a change of personality since we last talked?
Absolutely. Yeah. I gotta say that this new project has kind of made me open up a little bit. I'm taking more of a front. I'm the lead singer now, bass player, so I gotta kind of be firing all cylinders constantly. So, you know,
John,
Yes.
last time we did business, you didn't show up for the interview, man. I'm just kidding, man. You were busy. But John, you're also another person I really, really wanted to talk to last time because just the reputation you have in New Jersey. When I said MMR, you were somebody at the station where all these musicians, I could say your name and everybody knew you. Jackie Bam Bam was really on top. He's a drummer as well. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I know John. John did this and that." I'm like, "How'd you know that?" You have solidified your reputation. Before we move on, I wanted to know, what really gravitated you to the drums. Last time I was talking to the guys, I asked them like what part of their instrument made them want to play. Dan said he liked to be loud. He liked the sound of being the one to convey that thought of not raunchy, that's a bad word, but a darker tone, a louder tone.
Yeah.
What brought you to the drums so you could amass this wonderful career you have?
I would always, even as a child, I would kind of stim by like hitting stuff. Like I would tap on my desk. I would tap on like myself when I was just thinking like it was a byproduct of like who I am as a person. And I think it kind of arrived for me very naturally through that. Like it was just kind of a part of who I am, and it was pretty obvious from day one. Um, yeah, I would say the drums just kind of condensed into my being just through osmosis and through the natural way my life already was.
Luke, how about you? As a guitarist, I'm curious to see if your journey to the guitar was the same as mine. I always tell people it was AC/DC and Black Sabbath. There's just something playing now that's so romantic for it that maybe this truly is the best way for me to convey my form of expression and speaking. Even though I speak all the time, me playing might be the best form of me conveying an idea. How did you fall to guitar?
Yeah, I mean, to go off what you said, like it is a very like as society, like we've romanticized the guitar. And I definitely picked up on that at a very young age. Like I remember like there were so many moments in the media, like watching Back to the Future and seeing Marty McFly play guitar or Guitar Hero coming out. And then like just the cool factor of the instrument really drew me to it. And then I got an acoustic at a very young age, and I didn't really know how to play it, but I was always like trying to make sounds on it. It wasn't until I got into like high school where I was really able to kind of dive into the instrument and see like the possibilities that could be done with it. And I've always said like I'm a guitar player before I'm a musician, even though I do take my musicianship very seriously. Guitar is like that's where my passion lies. And it's just I love making music. I love playing guitar, and it's been like that for as long as I can remember.
I'm gonna nick that off you, man. I'm a guitar player before I'm a musician. I have to ask, guys. My Faith and Fear is such a kick-ass name. I, man, it just. I don't know if you guys are as into music and video games and movies as I am, but I'm a big Wu-Tang fan, hip hop, hard rock, and this is a combination that I just see a Mortal Kombat setting. I'm seeing like the Grim Reaper, but then it's like Shadows of the Damned, and then we got all this chaos, and it was just a beautiful mix. And that was just off the name. That was before I heard the music. I wanted to know how you guys were able to derive that name.
So I used to work at Wawa. I used to be a gas attendant. Yeah. And there was this lady that would come in and she would blare like AM radio. It was like a religious AM radio show, whatever it was. And I heard it from her car. It was like some voice and it was like, do not put your faith in fear or something like that. And I had like a light bulb. I was like, oh my God, that is it. That is it. Gotta write that down. So the name just like stuck from there.
That is so great. Also, I didn't know you worked at Wawa, man. God bless you. I did too, man. You didn't tell me these things. See, you talking. I was saying, I was like, oh yeah, when I was working at Wawa last night, and you're just observing. I gotta ask, which Wawa? And do you have any good stories? Any fun stories? I got some pretty traumatic ones from that spot.
Nah, not getting into the Wawa adventures.
John Kelly Keifer, you get that love, as we already mentioned, for session multi instrumentalists. You're known for the recording work you've done, and whether it's engineering or music education, your reputation's really up there. I needed to know, since you have your music industry degree, there's a lot of people, especially now with how things are with the economy, they don't feel that getting a degree is worth it. And I don't blame them. There's certain job fields you have to have it, and then there's others, well, you really don't necessarily need it. It's more of a foot in the door. Was that degree worth it to you? And where have you been able to apply it?
I've been able to apply it pretty much everywhere throughout. I mean, the music industry degree at Rowan kind of covers a really wide range. There's two specializations, one for business and one for technology. So as I was kind of, and I did all my work study work in the studio at Rowan as it was developing. So they were actually developing the program from this really old, like it was set up in the 60s where the main music room was this, it was like a brain of the music building. And it had these old conduit, like, it wasn't like piping, but it was like wiring. So the entire building was wired to where all of the choir rooms, all of the like Flieger Hall, like all the concert halls, all had this brain of a room basically where you could record pretty much any of these rooms from this one brain room. And it was like, that was one of the examples of some crazy experience I got with this degree, is converting that room into something that's useful today. so that's just on the engineering side of it, working in the studio, doing that kind of stuff, like kind of got me an intimate relationship with session work, with running a studio, with managing a studio, with helping other students kind of record, understand the mixing board and how signal flow worked. But there was also like a lot of business ideals that kind of developed through that. And I learned about licensing. I learned about how labels are structured. I learned live reinforcement, like how it's different miking up a band when they're playing live versus when they're playing in the studio. So pretty much at every turn, I've been able to apply the information. I would say it's very worth it for me personally.
How's the scene in our area? Is it doing a little better?
I would say there's, I would say a lot of hands are changing with that. I'd say like the mid-range venue is struggling right now, but the upper and lower range venues aren't. Like if it's a level playing field, it's kind of starting to go like this and focus more outward for on the DIY side of it and the really professional like venue side of it. I'd say the mid-range venue is not dying, but it's like it's finding this business to be very difficult to be sustainable. Specifically in the Rowan scene though, like I've seen an explosion since that music industry degree has been started to be offered like throughout college towns. Like I notice when they have that kind of degree that there's insurgence of DIY venues. Everyone's like wanting to do it themselves and host shows wherever they have available, like their backyard, even like basements. Like if there's a basement in a Rowan house that people share that is involved with the music industry, like
There will be a
there's
show.
gonna be a show.
Yeah.
And it's that like insurgence that I think is helping the local scene a lot. I think the DIY scene is birthing so many amazing bands and musicians that it still has me optimistic about the business. And you know, I've played in a basement to 3 people, and I've played at like 3,000 people kind of situations, and both of them are still very alive and well. But
Yeah.
that's what I would say. I think it's like starting to restructure and adapt to the business in terms of the scale of these venues.
Luke, elaborate on how you were able to meet the guys, because John and Dan have had oh geez, what has it been like 5 years since I've known them, and we've been, I've been keeping up, but they have also a storied history together. They've been able to link like this when it comes to playing, especially having been bass and drums and other efforts. I wanted to know how you met the guys and what was it like for you to join two guys that were already in sync.
So I met these guys maybe, I think also about 5 years ago. And basically I was in another project in the same area that these guys are in. And the drummer in that project was like, you got to check this band out. And I listened to it and I was like, like shit, that's really cool. Like I kind of wish I was jamming with these guys, but I hadn't met them yet. It was just a recording of one of like a new song that they had released. And then the project that I was in ended up putting on a show in the area. And John and Danny ended up opening. I think you guys were the second openers of the night. And I remember thinking like, oh shit, like these guys, they really know how to entertain a crowd. Like not only was the music great, but their stage presence was really something like that you don't see in, I mean, we were kids, like young 20-year-olds to be on a stage commanding that kind of crowd was like very impressive to me. And it kind of scared me a little bit. I was like, oh shit, like we have to follow this. Like, oh fuck, like how are we gonna top this? And I think we did a lot of shows together where we kind of had a nice energy where like one band would get the crowd ready and then the other band would bring it home. I think we did like, I want to say like 5 or 6 shows during that era. But then fast forward to like a couple months ago when we started jamming together, like I would say like I slid in pretty quickly. And I think that has to do with like we're also passionate about playing like rock music, and we've been doing it for so long now that it was a smooth like transition for me to start working with these two.
I wanted to ask you guys, when was the moment you knew you had it? Dan, I remember that was such a life-changing moment. I know it sounds stupid, man, but I saw it was like an aura. Even if I were to watch the video, there's very key moments where you're playing and you did like something with your hand, and it was like so like it was like Avatar. Everybody look. And John, same thing. Luke, even watching your videos and watching stuff you've done, I wanted to know when you guys really said, you know what, I'm a professional now.
With music and with learning an instrument, you get to a certain point, kind of like in karate, where you become a black belt. And anyone that considers themselves a professional in this industry needs to be at that black belt level. And I would say the three of us we're all there. But there's degrees. I don't know karate, I don't study it, but I've heard that there's like degrees of black belts. And I think that with music, especially, like there's no limit to how far you could take that and how advanced you can get and how much you can improve your overall technique and songwriting skills and stage presence. Where we are on that totem pole, I couldn't tell you, but we're all at that black belt level now.
He does know his martial art. Guys, we got to go back to that Quiet Riot show. I wanted to know for you guys that night, were you able to have a conversation with anybody in the bands and they gave you some good advice for the instrument or just in the music industry?
I remember that night after everyone was done playing, I went in the back and I ate a hoagie with Rudy Sarzo. And it was sort of like a surreal moment. It was kind of like, what the hell is going on? You know? But we were just like, I don't know. It was so humbling just being able to like just have a normal conversation with someone of that
Casually
caliber.
interact with the band.
Right. Yeah.
Don't remember too many specifics about what they said, but like I remember them being very genuine people, very like just as rock and roll off the stage as on the stage. They were definitely cool.
We have to jump to My Faith and Fear, man. Absolutely adored the single. When I say it really caught me off guard, it wasn't that I was not anticipating greatness. I just wasn't anticipating such a striking hit to the soul with every single type of rock I like. If you guys could please relay its inception, who had the idea, who did the lyrics, because I really was in awe of this song. I just automatically had to pick up my guitar and try and learn it.
So actually the song, I wrote a long time ago. It's one of the first songs I've ever written. I was like 15 or 16. And it's a song that I carried for so long and it changed and so many different parts were added and removed, you know. And then when I started to work on this stuff, I kind of pulled the song back out and was like, all right, it might be time to whip it out, you know, a little bit. And it just kind of went from there.
When you bring your ideas musically to the band and show them like, hey, this is how it's done, you know, how much give do you give? Like Quentin Tarantino is pretty much like, hey, you know, I'll let the actors do their job, but if it's in the script, you better read what I wrote.
So I kind of present an idea and I'm all for like an artist interpretation. So if the guys feel it a different way or if they want to change things, you know, they might even think of something that's way better that I couldn't have thought of, you know? So it's pretty open for interpretation.
When you created those lyrics, right, when you were writing them down, you said you were 15. Where were you in your headspace?
Well, the song really just is about transcending and rebirthing yourself and carrying your knowledge from your prior life and becoming anew, you know what I mean?
I asked the question, what keeps you guys doing this? What is the driving factor when you're struggling to be known, you're struggling to be heard, and you're trying to get the name out there? You know, it could be difficult and it could be very, very disheartening over and over again. What keeps you going? I wanted to know, since the last time we spoke, if that fire has been lit up with a little bit extra because now you have to fight. Now this is your own project. I wanted to know what your headspace was, that what keeps you going to play music and it's such a passionate level. And John, you as well, I think it's a little bit different for you because you know this, you've really made it your life all around. And Luke, you too, man, because I see the struggle, family. You got the face of somebody that's hungry and wants to eat. What keeps you guys continuing to play when the chips are down?
I think I speak for all of us. Like it's very similar to my kind of coming into drums. It's like coming into musicianship. It's kind of the nature of us to do that. And it's more like, it's not something we do with our life. It's how life has flowered into music. It's like, I think, such a root part of who we are as people that there's no room for anything but fire, kind of thing. Like, there wouldn't be a life where that fire exists in us, because music is just who we are. I think that's a big part of it. So it's like, no matter what project we're in, we're always going to be playing like it's the garden until it is the garden. I don't know if you guys have
No, I
anything to add
completely
to
agree with
but
that.
I think we all have like you said, a hunger for it. It's like there's something in us that's telling us this is what you need to do. This is where your purpose lies. There's no other tasks that can be presented to you that you would be better equipped to fulfill. I think that we're all pretty hardened performers at this point. As young as we are, we've done a good amount of gigging, and we crave it. We're hungry for it. Regardless of the project, we love for the three of us. We just love performing. We love music, and like John said, it's a part of us.
What is the roles in the band now outside of playing?
actually kind of interesting you say that, at least from the production side, because I've co-produced with people before, but like not with a lot of people who have the kind of fluidity and conversation that me and Dan do. Like I've gotten the opportunity to engineer with a lot of people, and that's kind of like a big part of what I do in this project in terms of like the sound. Is I'm kind of the primary sound engineer on this record and all of these songs that we're working on. But I would say, like, in terms of producing, like sitting with an engineer and really like putting the layers, putting the eyebrows on it, as my dad would say, I think has been a part of our relationship with this band that like has kind of flowered into something great, and it breathes new life into these songs for sure. And whenever we have Luke, like, it's that is even further increased, like the web of ideas that we all have and are able to contribute to the music. So I would say, like, in terms of writing, like as you said earlier too, it's like you have these ideas and you kind of bring it to us. There's like a rough skeleton, there's an idea of what you want it to sound like, and then we're able to interpret from there. So I think it's like shared songwriting, shared producing, like shared like content and promotion. I recently did a photo shoot with the band a little bit too, so thankfully my my photography expertise came in handy. But
As funny as I want to be, I can express how just great that song was. What is the next song you guys are looking to release?
The next song is called Savages. As far as beyond that, we plan on releasing an EP around Halloween that will feature Past Lives, Savages, and 4 new songs.
It's gonna be like Halloween tune there too, man.
Yeah, a little creepy.
Don't play me. Don't get me started. Would it be possible to get the tabs? Would you, or do you guys have the tabs and the music ready to go? Because I thought that would be great marketing for you guys.
Do a little Instagram reel tutorial on how to play one of the riffs.
If you do one, I'll be there. I'll be your first student. Actually, how much you charging per class? I'll sign up right now.
If you want private lessons, John, I'll hook you up.
Yes, indeed. We going to, how much you charging now? 20, 30, 40? We got you.
I do 60 an hour.
Black belt status, that you pay for what you get, and that's good money spent. As far as your daily lives, what are you guys doing now?
Anymore, my life is kind of crazy schedule-wise because I work a full-time job. So I work 8 to 5, and then after that is kind of like when it's time to get to work with music. I get home, work on mixes, stuff like that. So it's like just kind of craziness, constantly trying to fit everything in my schedule, you know.
for me personally, it's like a lot more spotty and inconsistent. Or not spotty and inconsistent. It's a whirlwind of It's not like a hurry up and wait situation, but I'm in other projects, as you know, Remember Jones, namely, and our touring schedule is kind of all over the place because of how many different passions that band leader has, and we do a lot of different flavors of show. So sometimes we'll tour, sometimes we'll have a theatrical production that we're doing like a run of shows with. And when I'm not doing that, I'm teaching kids how to rock at a school of rock in my area, kind of passing the knowledge on. Also pretty into gardening too. My parents have gotten very, very passionate about that recently. So I've been trying to grow my own food, trying to learn a lot about plants and naturalism and a lot of really cool stuff.
And Luke, how about yourself, good sir? How are you balancing?
Right now, I have so much free time on my hand. I'm a teacher, so I have summers off. But I try to stay busy by I have like a bunch of private students that I teach guitar to. And then I'm trying to get into illustration a little bit. I'm a big fan of like comics and any illustration, like that's right up my alley. So I've got quite a bit of time these days to work on music and other passions in my life.
How bad was teaching during the COVID time? You guys understand customer service, and it's like now it's that with their child. How were you able to handle that? And why are you still, why teaching, man? What is it? Y'all good souls. I don't understand you guys being teachers and caring and loving the world, and it translates so beautifully into scary and mean music. But it's a certain soul, a certain perspective you have to be able to do what you do. Why do you think you have it, or do you think there was anything that kind of catalyzed it for you?
So as far as the COVID thing goes, I was a student during that. I was at Rowan, and it was brutal. Like I was going to school for a music industry degree on the side of business, and like my senior year was supposed to be about putting on real events and networking in person, which obviously was not able to happen. But the takeaway that I got was that even without having in-person classes through Zoom and like other programs, we were still able to get somewhat of an education. And I was like, the education, albeit it wasn't the best, it was very lackluster in my opinion. And to no fault of the school, we were going through a pandemic. They did what they had to do, or rather, they did what they could do. But it kind of opened up my eyes and made me realize, okay, like even though I'm stuck at home right now, I could totally market myself online and actually teach some other students of my own, and make some income to just keep me busy. And that's actually where I really started working with private students in 2020. But as far as like what pushes me to like educate, I mean it's this or work a desk job at a bank, like it's kind of, I mean, it's not that black and white, but this job allows me to keep the focus on music. But not only the focus on music, but I get to share it with kids who sometimes can be really passionate about it. And when you see those, like that light switch go off and it clicks for them, like it's so rewarding to be able to kind of pass that torch on to the next generation. Even if, the parents, the kids can sometimes drive you a little crazy. It's still, I think, it's a very rewarding career to be in.
What do you want people to know about your band?
We're just getting started.
Absolutely.
I think a big part of it is that this is the tip of the iceberg that I'm not sure everybody's ready for. I think it's swinging pretty well above what people's expectations could be. That's what I have to say about it.
Come see us live. We'll party. We'll have a good time. We'll make you a fan. It'll be a night to remember. I just want people to enjoy whatever we're able to produce in a live setting. That's always been one of my biggest push and motivations for putting together a show, bringing people together and making sure that everyone's having a kick-ass time.
Luke, I do have to ask you, man, because I'm a comic book nerd too, man. I got a couple of Spider-Mans that I'm very proud of. Hobgoblin series, man.
Nice,
Um,
nice.
what comic books were you into? That goes for everybody else if you guys are comic book nerds. And I gotta ask the ultimate question: DC or Marvel?
Well, that's a tough one. I mean, of course, I like growing up. I was a huge Spidey fan. Who wasn't? I'm definitely more of a Marvel guy. I like Batman too, though. But these days, I'm like addicted. I'm a junkie for this new series called Invincible. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's on Amazon. It's incredibly interesting and gory. Um, and it kind of like it has like a lot of story beats that you don't typically see. And it's so good that like I'll go and I'll watch a Marvel movie and I'm like, that's fucking shit. Like that was like there's so much like smaller projects doing it so much better. Like they just Invincible, like I can't stress this enough. Invincible on Amazon Prime, go watch it. It's so good.
I think I'm gonna go with DC
You
just because
too.
of Batman. Just because of Batman.
Batman's
Listen,
cool.
man, you
Batman's
got
a cool guy.
when you are out there selling the band, when you're out there selling yourself, what is the game plan? How do you strategize getting My Faith and Fear out to the masses?
I think a major thing that's going to play a huge role into getting the name out there is just going ballistic with the shows, playing as many shows as we can get, and just kind of going from there. Sort of like a word of mouth thing.
What's the best way to get a gig?
Biggest thing you could have to help you with that is a strong EPK, an electronic press kit. Making sure you've got good photos, not only of the band performing, but also a crowd enjoying the performance. Maybe some videos of the performance, bios about the band members, summary of like the sound and the music, and of course some actual music. I think having something like that, where it's like one email, one attachment, everything you need to know about the band included, that'll do a lot for you. I noticed when my previous project, when we first started out, we really didn't know much about how to get gigs like this, like where you can actually get and meet new fans and work with new artists. We just started reaching out to these venues, and I must have reached out to like 20, 30 venues one day. And I was like, all right, great. Like one of them is going to get back to me. Not a single one reached back out. We somehow managed to keep gigging, and then we were like, hey, we should probably get like an electronic press kit put together. And once we had that put together, we were able to start sending that out, and we would still send it to like 30, 40 venues. But now like one or two would respond. And that's just kind of the nature of it. Like you just gotta spread the message as far as you can and just hope for the best, because there's a million other performers that want these opportunities. So you kind of have to show that you have some worth via this one email.
What's the best music compliment you guys ever got?
I think a ton of the best compliments are, they're not about like how fast you can do a double stroke roll on the drums. They're not about like your technical ability on an instrument. I think the best compliments are about the musicianship, are about the brain on top of or underneath the instrument. And if someone is like, yeah, your technical ability is great, but the voice that you bring to the music, your choices that you're making are really pristine, I think those are like the best compliments personally, because it speaks to not someone's it's not the instrument itself. You're actually like going after the root, like the interpretation of that instrument. It's like it's way more personal than, hey, I like the way you play like a 2 and 4, but it's like the choice. Yeah, I think like any kind of compliment on the lines of like, yo, those musical choices you made were amazing and they inspired me, like made me want to write with you, made me want to perform with you. Like any of that is, I don't know, it's gold to me.
But I do want specifics from everyone else, Dan and Luke.
I used to love after playing shows with Sonora, I would have people either in the crowd or in other bands come up to me with wide eyes and be like, dude, what the fuck was that? And then they would ask me like about my basses and then like my pedal board, my rig, and I would go through the whole shebang with them. But I love getting that reaction from people, just like, what the fuck, you know?
Reacting to
Yeah.
your unique
True.
voice.
I've seen it happen a couple times. This has occurred.
Yeah.
You, me included, man. Luke, how about you, man? Because I do like your style because it seems so clean that you have to make an effort to make it sound the way it does. Like I'm not saying you're struggling to do it, but there's a certain way. Some players are a little sloppy when they play. Like Slash is known for being sloppy, even though he can lock in, he just chooses to be a little all over the place when he plays. But then there's other players that are just so clean and precise. And I feel like you're making an effort to be like, hey, I have one way, but I'm switching it up to this way, and you do it effortlly.
I appreciate what you're saying. Thank you.
Am I right to assume that your style of playing was that an accurate?
No, definitely, you're 100% on the nose. I definitely, I want to milk every note for what it's worth. For a while, I've been playing a Les Paul, and I picked it up when I was a kid, and I just love the sustain that you get. They're not easy guitars to play by any means. They're built like fucking baseball bats. So you really need to you need to have the desire to play it. I have students who play shitty little Squire Strats, and occasionally they'll forget to bring them in, and I'll be like, "Would you like to play my guitar?"
Don't mess with my baby.
Oh no! That looks like a quality Squire. I'm talking about like the $50 this is the cheapo guitar that comes with an even shittier amp. Like just has strings on it, barely stays in it. Squire makes some good instruments, but these beginner Squires that they bring in are not the greatest instruments. But I'll let them try my guitar, and they'll be like, oh, this is like it sounds nice, but it's difficult to play. And it's just the nature of the instrument. But as far as as compliments go, I think two instances come to mind. When I was a senior in high school, I used to do these recitals at a local restaurant bar, and there was another student there who was much younger. I was 18. This kid must have been about 9 or 10 years old, and I had seen him at a couple of these recitals. And then one day he shows up. He's wearing an outfit that I would wear, and he has a Les Paul guitar. And I'm like, oh wow, look at that, another one, because you don't see a lot of kids playing Les Pauls. And we had the same instructor at the time. And at my next lesson, he told me, he was like, yeah, this other student really he was really inspired by the way you perform and the way you play your Les Paul. So he had been bugging his parents all year to get a Les Paul so that he can play like that. And I was like, oh my God, that's so heartwarming to hear that, to kind of to see the inspiration in person. And then there was another instance during COVID. I was going nuts, didn't know how to keep myself busy, was covering songs on Instagram constantly, not getting a ton of views, but I wasn't doing it for the views. It was just fun. I liked recording music. I'm up at 3 a.m. I just covered an Ozzy tune, and I get a notification that Zack Wylde has commented on the video, and I'm freaking out. And it's 3 a.m, and I'm like, who do I ask if this is actually happening? Is this real? Am I dreaming right now? So it was nice to be in that that other seat of getting praise from someone that's inspired you.
No, that does make the difference, man. Man, fuck you guys. Y'all just so damn talented. I wanted to know where you got that idea for the glasses and hat.
I mean, the glasses are pretty rock and roll. I've been rocking those for a while. But it was actually, I went to a Stevie Nicks concert, and everyone in the crowd and Stevie had these long brim fedoras. And I was like, you know what? That would be a tough look if I had one of those. And yeah, that with the glasses, it just became very, very iconic for me to throw that on. And also, it's kind of like a, what's the word? It's a bit like a mask. It allows you to kind of transform into someone else. You have this, you can hide behind the glasses and the hat, and it kind of allows you to further transform into this rock star. And that's what people want to see when they go to a performance. They don't want to see some regular person playing music. They want to see something larger than life, or at least that's my approach to going to a live show. I love when you see someone with good showmanship and someone that can really capture your attention. So I just threw all that together, and I think it definitely helped me out in previous performances, especially that the giant hat. You know, people will be walking by like, "Who's that guy with the afro?" Oh wait, no, it's a hat. Let me check this out. You know.
Guys, Luke said something that really struck. It made me think about like my love for music. Like, do you guys have that certain feeling with your setup, with your bass, with your pedals? And where did you come to that conclusion of like this is the sound I need to create? Was it somebody that you looked up to, or was it more so experimenting?
I feel a little bit of both, because we all take things from our inspirations. So I think it's just about finding that, like the balance of like what's mine, well, what's my sound? What does it sound like? Kind of just navigating through there.
Yeah, I would say I have like a pretty steady rotation of sounds in terms of like drums and cymbals that I use. Obviously, like the drum kit is so customizable in terms of what instruments, like you're playing so many different instruments at once that I do think I have like an overall sound with this rotation I have going, but like it definitely depends on the situation for me. Like having been investing in music for my whole life, I have like choices that I can make depending on the show or situation. Like the kit that I bring to the small club isn't the same kind of sound that I'll bring to a theater, or like a theatrical production that is maybe like way jazzier isn't the same kit I'm going to bring to a My Faith and Fear concert. So just kind of using those voices interchangeably is definitely a big part of who I am as a professional, and like definitely changing. It's almost like changing outfits for the occasion. It's like I change sounds and instruments for the occasion.
I did want to ask Luke, I wanted to know like what was your experience with that style? Do you have any jazz influence? And have you been able to pick up anything from the guys?
So we've only been able to jam so many times with me as a part of the group. I joined pretty recently. So I'm sure there will be a lot that I pick up. I can say that some of these tunes, although it's not the most challenging material, there are sections where I'm like, oh, like I need to work on my musicianship a little bit to keep up with this particular section of the song. But I will say it is extraordinarily nice having other musicians to work with that have a higher level of musicianship. I think it makes any time that we get together to jam or practice that much more seamless. Because I've like any musician who jams with other musicians, I've been in scenarios with people who just play because it's a hobby, or they don't really understand music, but they know how to play a chord progression or hold a beat down. And when you try to explain something or try to change something, and you use music theory terms with someone who doesn't speak the lingo, it's like there's like a barrier there that's hard to. It's not impossible, but it makes the process a lot longer and tedious. Whereas John or Dan can just shout something out, and I can pick up on that pretty quickly. And same for like I can shout something out, and because their musicianship is at the right level, it's not an issue. It's not like a roadblock or a hurdle that we have to get over.
I personally have been so fortunate to have friends that have had my back for no reason. I've done things that have crippled friendships. I've done things that should have ended friendships. And it doesn't matter what race, religion, my friends collectively, even though I have two separate groups, college and the guys I grew up with, they've always gone out of their way for absolute no reason to take care of me, protect me, and have always supported me, especially now that I'm an adult and now that I'm thinking a little bit more clearly, when you're young and crazy. I cannot fathom why they took such a blessing and a liking to me, and I just can only hope to give that back. And a lot of it is time. I wanted to know, when you think of each other, you guys chose to stick together for this project. You guys have always positively, when I've had you separately and talked to you guys, have been so kind and having so much admiration for the other. Where are you guys in your friendship? What does that other person that you're sitting next to right now give you that you appreciate?
I think it's like very healthy respect and inspiration. I think it comes down to, I mean, it's a deeply personal thing being in a band, right? It's like you're kind of bearing your soul on your sleeve a little bit. And I mean, me and Dan have had that experience through good and bad times, but that healthy respect and inspiration kind of prevails over all of that. And if that's kind of retained, it's like there's not really much that can stop it from being a great relationship on and off the field in terms of being in a band together.
Out of these interviews, I always ask, what is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Look out for your people. I think, if I've learned anything, I'm sure any musician can agree. Like this industry is so cutthroat, and there are people that will do pretty much anything to kind of get an edge in life or in this industry. And I think that at the end of the day, if you want to be successful, you have to look out for the people that have been there for you, and just stay humble.
And the question goes to you, Dan, and John as well. Everybody gets a say on that.
Just watch your toes, man. Watch your toes.
I like that.
Who
My-
gave you that? Oh, never mind. John first.
My granddad always would say, like every time I would see him, he just said, "Well, John, if you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life," kind of thing. And I think it like speaks to my natural upbringing into music. Is it kind of was naturally a part of me, so I'm blessed to be able to do it every day and pursue that as a life focus.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, they are going to kick your ass. It's good old passionate rock and roll in ways you can't ever describe. And John said it so brilliantly. You guys are just hitting the tip of the iceberg. There's way more to come. But My Faith and Fear, you can see him on Instagram, My Faith and Fear, Facebook, My Faith and Fear, YouTube, same name, but My Faith and Fear in TV. And I'm telling you guys, their music is going to blow you away. Go check out that link right now. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. That was so epic and amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
And everyone, be smart, be mindful, cross my heart. Rock on, ninja out.
Hey guys, this is Luke Altman of My Faith and Fear, and you're watching John the Ninja Podcast.
Damn.
Woo, baby, you listen to John the Ninja. Oh, your ears are about to go on a vacation. John the Ninja's got what you need.